I told you we have a football-heavy SportsMax zone on this Thursday. The CONCACAF Coaching Convention, which was officially launched in March, is a series of regulations to promote coaching excellence and standardize the quality of coaching education programs across participating member states. The goal is to produce more accredited coaches across CONCACAF, allowing them to be eligible for coaching jobs in all CONCACAF member states, with hopes of improving the quality of coaching and play in the region. The Bahamas, Barbados, Bermuda and the Cayman Islands have agreed to take part in this edition of the convention. Hosts CONCACAF aim to have participants from each member state by 2030. Joining us now in the studio to talk more about the convention, former Grenada international and current director of football development at CONCACAF, Jason Roberts. Jason, great to have you live in the SportsMax Zone studios here. How did the convention go this week? Let me start there, because CONCACAF is investing a lot into this project.
Thank you and good afternoon, Lance. Can I say what a pleasure it is to be here in Jamaica? Any time that I'm in Kingston is good. It's been a very important 3 days for us. We approved the coaching convention in December with our council. And this is really an agreement between member associations who agree to regulate the quality of coaching education. So the hope is we only have 7 MAs, 7 member associations with their own coaching pathways. What we aim to do is standardize that and set minimum standard criteria. So a Jamaica C license will be equivalent of a Mexico C license, USA,
which doesn't exist at the moment?
Which does not exist at the moment. If you were to go and travel from Canada to USA with your B license, you would have to do another coaching course. Yes. So what we aim to do is standardize that and regulate that. And hopefully if we can have all 41 of our member associations in that convention by 2030, as you mentioned earlier, then what we'll have is freedom of movement, a better quality of coach, and if we can, through our club licensing and through our professionalization of the game, ensure that D licensed coaches, C licensed, B licensed coaches are working with the young people, that we have pro licensed coaches and A licensed coaches operating at the elite and the national side of the game. What we're going to see is an improvement in the game, and we've seen this in different confederations. Currently we are the only confederation without a coaching convention in place, and we've seen the difference. We've seen the difference that this can make, and this is really about the vision of our President Victor Montagliani when he came in, and when I joined in 2017, it was one of the main things that we focused on. How can we improve the level of coaching, education, and therefore improve the level of what we see on the game? Great players come from great coaches, and this is our way of making sure that we invest in that.
Yeah. Jason, I see where the convention this week had the Bahamas, Barbados, Bermuda, the Cayman Islands joining Jamaica here. Is this group small? Is this group a number that you would say that you would have been disappointed that it had to be so narrow? So
what you have is a coaching exchange. So this wasn't the start of the coaching convention. What Jamaica have done is really opened up their coaching education pathway to the Caymans, Barbados, Bahamas, Bermuda, to really see the quality that they have. They delivered a C license coaching course, as well as coaching the U17 girls in front of this group, and the idea is to exchange knowledge, to see what Jamaica are building.
On-field action was part of what you did.
Absolutely, coaching was part of it. They were not applying to the convention. What they were doing was going through a mock test in which we would come, we'd look at the standard and the quality of the coaching, we'd go through a self-study process and look at what they actually have in regards to content for the C license, so that they would sign up to this convention with the other signatories, which we hope will be 7 MAs this year and hopefully 10 next year. So really the JFF were leading on this, really giving us the opportunity to help our other confederations to learn and see the standard. So it really was a very worthwhile process for us. But just to be clear, this was just an exchange between those member associations.
And how long is our coaching course or process?
Yeah, so it varies from different license levels. So if it's a D license, a C license, B, A, and a Pro, what we aim to do within this process is standardize it and have an agreement between the likes of USA, Mexico, Canada, Trinidad and Tobago, and Jamaica to say minimum standard is X hours. The content, X quality. The methodology is X. If you want to go above that, and let's say they agreed on 24 hours or 300 hours of coaching. If you wanted to go above that, that's fine. But what we need to do is set that standard so that we can have free movement of coaches within the signatory countries. And what that does is it professionalizes coaching. For somebody in Jamaica or in Trinidad or in Mexico and Canada that wants to be an elite coach, this is how you accredit yourself. And actually, through this process, it's how we bring value to young people and coaches who want to perform at the highest level of the game.
Yeah. Is it difficult to get involved? How do you apply for the process? How do you get involved?
So this is a culmination of a lot of work. We've been working with the JFF, and they've showed great leadership. Mr. Wint was with us today as the General Secretary. We had these technical leadership team, and what we've done is work with them to ensure that we have coaching educators. Of course, to deliver D licenses and C licenses, you have to have really well-trained coaching educators, and Jamaica have invested in that. So now it's about making sure that the content and the delivery is of the required standard, and then moving forward to the coaching convention.
Another question that I'm thinking about is, how much money do you have to, is it that you go through your football federation, or do you pay, like if I wanted to just become a coach, do I just finance myself? What's the avenue? Yeah,
so every country will have a different strategy in regards to what they would charge or how many courses they would do. What's really important for us is that this is not about us at CONCACAF sending coaching educators to any specific country. This is about building the capacity of coaching educators right here in Jamaica. So if the need is to have 10 C license this year, that's fine. Or if it's 100, then that's fine too. We want to really empower each of our member associations to take ownership of their coaching education departments, and in turn the quality of the coaching that's delivered to our young players.
Jason, traveling through the world as I do, covering track and field events like the Olympics and so on, I'm constantly asked the question, why is Jamaica so good in track and field? And my first response is coaching. I think Jamaica's coaching track and field levels are really, really high. Having said that, do you think the biggest inhibitor to Caribbean football development at the moment is our lack of coaching expertise?
Listen, I think you mentioned something really important in regards to the quality of what you do in athletics here in Jamaica, and I agree with you. We've had some presentations from some leaders from the athletics.
In the convention?
No, not in this convention, but in regards to some of our symposiums and our workshops, and you can see that it's around excellence. There's no doubt about that. I think that in our region we have something important to add to the global conversation of football, not just on the pitch, but also in regards to philosophy, methodology.
Is there a Caribbean philosophy of football?
I think that there's more that binds us together than separates us. I think that there's a lot that we have in common.
Yes.
But the one thing that I would say is that, you know, the fact that we're now embarking on this journey is going to allow us to put that into practice.
Yes.
For us to have a coaching convention that is going to allow us to have free movement of coaches within our region, that young people can dream of going through the coaching pathway here in Jamaica and being able to manage and coach anywhere in the CONCACAF region. And as we start to have these conversations at the global level, maybe that global equivalency will allow that JFF Pro license and A license to be recognized globally. What an opportunity for our young people, what an opportunity to invest in our communities, and really to show that coaching management is really a chance to have a career. And to professionalize that, you're going to have to invest in your education, and it's going to have to be recognized not only regionally but globally. Yeah,
very important points you're making there, Jason, and I agree with you 100%. Can you specifically, when we talk about a Caribbean philosophy or a philosophy of playing football, would you be in agreement that the Caribbean, because our athletes are so, well, our players are so athletic, it's innate in a Caribbean person to be athletic, that should impact significantly on how we play football, in the sense of the strategy as far as a coaching philosophy is concerned should be heavily weighted on speed and movement of the ball and so on, as opposed to, you know, some of the more tiki-taka football that, you know, some of the Central American and South American teams display. Would you, from a coaching philosophy standpoint, support a coaching philosophy for Caribbean teams, Grenada, Trinidad, Jamaica, Barbados, everywhere, emphasizing speed and the general athleticism of our players?
I think what's important about this process that we're going through, and it is a process, part of it is each of our member associations looking at the benefits, seeing their philosophy, seeing how they play football, and going through the process which you've just said, which is what is our philosophy, and asking ourselves and being intentional about asking ourselves those questions. I think it's clear that we at CONCACAF, we don't see ourselves as the holder of the information. It's our job to help each of our MAs to tease that out of themselves and to make sure that when they set that minimum criteria about the C license, the B, the A, and hopefully all the way to the pro, then that process allows you to have a look at what your philosophy is. And yes, I said a lot binds us more than separates us. But the reality is the Jamaican philosophy might be very different to the Trinidad and Tobago philosophy, or different to the Grenadian. Our job is to really facilitate that process, not to be the police and say that you must do this and you must do that, but just to help each of our MAs to take ownership of that. And it's an exciting time because, like I said earlier, we have the passion, we have the knowledge. What we haven't had is the opportunity really to build these frameworks, and we're doing that now. And I think that it's an exciting conversation for our technical leaders to have. We're seeing great minds being teased out through these processes as we build more coaching educators, as we build more coaching curriculums, and as we see more coaches getting access to education. Because you know, in any field of work, without access to education, you can't progress. We haven't had that across the board in our region up to now, but this is allowing us to do that and to dream about what we can do in football.
Yeah, you talk about coaching philosophy and developing our coaches, but there are hindrances, aren't they, to successful coaching? Things like facilities, things like investment, financial investment into our players. And when I talk about facilities, I could more directly talk about the fields. A lot of the fields in the Caribbean are below par. So even if you improve the coaching levels significantly, aren't there other factors that need to be improved to ensure that the end product is beneficial to Caribbean development in football?
Yeah, I agree. It's a holistic development, and that's something that we're focused on. This is one element, in my opinion, an absolutely fundamental, important one. You mentioned facilities. What I would say is it's certainly an exciting time to be part of football in CONCACAF. There's more funding available than there's ever been. We have our One CONCACAF program in which we support our member associations alongside other stakeholders. Another thing I would mention there is competition. Yes. Without competition, there really is no development. And, you know, I played for Grenada since I was 20 years old, and I would turn up and we'd do a World Cup qualifiers. Eventually we'd lose, and it would be see you in 4 years. Yeah. Now what we have through the Nations League is a collection of competitions through the CONCACAF Nations League that allows our teams to develop.
I hear that, Jason, but can I stop you here? Because there are some elements in the Caribbean football fraternity that accept that the Nations League is something good, but are missing the Caribbean Football Cup, the Caribbean Cup. And that question has been asked. I heard it as recent as about 2 months ago, where people feel that, yes, the Nations League has its benefits, but they're missing the Caribbean Cup, which we haven't seen now since, I think, 2015 or 2017.
Sure, no. So I think there's more to be done with our stakeholders. We continue to look at more competitions. You look at our CONCACAF U15 tournament, it's a centralized tournament. We're the only confederation in the world who've done that. You look at our CONCACAF Club Shield, Caribbean Shield. You look at the CONCACAF League. There's been an investment in tournaments, and I think there's been more games in the calendar now, and certainly in our region, than there's ever been.
Yes, that's
and I think that's clear. And, you know, the work and the body of work is there to be looked at. More games, more investment in coaching education, more opportunity to support our member associations. But that doesn't mean that the work is done. Yeah. A lot more needs to be done in the region, and we're determined to really do that under the vision of our President Victor Montaliani and his One CONCACAF vision.
Yeah, well, current Director of Development at CONCACAF, Jason Roberts. Really great having you in the SportsMax zone. There's so much to talk about. We get the feeling that we needed you here for an hour, but I'm sure this won't be the last that we see of you. And we will continue this discussion, because as far as the development of football in the Caribbean is concerned, coaching is certainly pivotal. And we accept that. Thanks, Jason, for dropping in.
Thank you.
And we'll be back with more on the SportsMax zone after this.
Stay with SportsMax on YouTube and follow us on all social pages for updates, news and entertainment.